I might be one of the few women in the world who handed out sweets to celebrate the birth of a daughter, and my husband stood proudly beside me. People around us started gossiping, saying, "They're celebrating just because it's a girl," like in those places where the birth of a girl is seen as another way to earn money. So many harsh words were spoken about us, and hearing them broke my heart. But today, when I saw my daughter in a state no mother should ever witness, it felt like my whole world came crashing down. In that moment of despair, Allah sent me a sign that overwhelmed me with emotion. I cried so much that I lost consciousness, as everything about my daughter seemed to hold a deeper meaning. If you're curious to find out what really happened to the girls, watch this video until the end. Don't forget to like the video, and if you're new here, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell. When I married a man named Karan, I felt like the happiest woman alive. Karan was a kind-hearted and gentle man, well respected in our community. At 26, I had been searching for someone who shared my values and faith, someone who would make my dreams of a family built on love and compassion come true. Deeply spiritual, I had always found peace in daily prayers and reciting scriptures, and I hope to carry these cherished habits into my new life with Karan. After our wedding, I moved into Karan's family home in a serene village surrounded by fields. Life took a turn I hadn't anticipated. My mother-in-law, Sunita, was a strict and traditional woman who believed a daughter-in-law's primary duty was to serve her family. She would often say, "After your morning prayers, make sure breakfast is ready on time." I tried to keep up with my spiritual practices initially, but the endless chores and responsibilities left me physically and emotionally drained. Gradually, I found myself drifting away from the comforting routine of prayer that had once been my anchor. Karan, as the eldest son, bore the weight of family obligations. He was devout in his faith, yet he often prioritized his family's expectations over my needs. When Sunita criticized or mistreated me, Karan would calmly say, "She's my mother. I can't confront her, but I'll talk to you. Please try to be patient." His words were well-meaning, but they left me feeling isolated. I wanted to believe that supporting my husband and enduring these challenges would bring divine rewards, yet a deep emptiness lingered, a yearning for the child I so desperately longed to have. Months turned into years, and I remained childless. Every passing day felt like a painful reminder of what I couldn't give. 2 years into our marriage, after countless prayers and medical consultations, I finally conceived. When the doctor told us I was expecting twins, our joy knew no bounds. Sunita's stern demeanor softened, and she showered me with praise. Karan was overjoyed, and for the first time I felt a sense of belonging in the family. I dreamt of holding my twin boys and filling our home with laughter and love. But fate had other plans. Around the 5th month of my pregnancy, my health began to decline. Despite every effort, I lost my babies before they could enter this world. The grief was indescribable. Sunita, who had once celebrated my pregnancy, now regarded me with disappointment. "Maybe it was an evil eye," she muttered, but her tone carried judgment. Though Karan tried his best to console me, the loss left an emptiness no words could fill. 2 more years passed, filled with pain and longing. Sunita's remarks grew harsher. "A woman who can't bear children is a burden," she would say. Just when I was beginning to lose hope, I discovered I was pregnant again. The joy and relief were overwhelming. Sunita, however, remained cautious. "This time, make sure it's a boy. Take care of yourself," she said. But her actions didn't match her words. She continued to load me with household work, leaving me no time to rest. When it was time for the ultrasound, Sunita insisted on coming along. "I want to hear from the doctor that you're having boys," she said. The doctor, with a warm smile, informed us, "The baby is perfectly healthy, and there's nothing to worry about." Sunita, impatient, asked, "How many?" "One or two?" The doctor replied, "Just one, and it's a girl." Hearing those words, my heart swelled with joy. I couldn't wait to meet my daughter, but Sunita's expression darkened. On the way home, she muttered under her breath, "What a waste of time. A girl, and only one at that. She'll just be another burden." Her words cut deep. That night, I sobbed in Karen's arms. He held me tightly and whispered, "She's our daughter. What happened before was God's plan, and maybe this is His way of blessing us. Let's celebrate her arrival in a way that the whole world will notice." I hesitated, unsure. "Who celebrates the birth of a daughter?" I asked through my tears. Karen smiled and said firmly, "We will. She's our light, and we'll show everyone how much she means to us." True to his promise, when our daughter, Arohi, was born, Karan and I distributed sweets across the neighborhood. Gossip spread quickly. "They're celebrating as if it's a boy," people whispered. "Who does that for a girl?" One even remarked, "It's like celebrating in a brothel, where a girl's birth means another earner has arrived." Hearing these cruel words was painful, but Karan and I stood firm. We refused to let anyone diminish the joy we felt. Today, as I look at Arohi, I pray no mother has to endure the pain and judgment I faced. She is my blessing, my reason for hope and resilience. Through her, I've learned that God's plans are always greater than our understanding, and His blessings come in ways we may not always expect. Reflecting on this story, it resonates deeply with the challenges many of us face when societal judgments and family expectations overshadow personal joys. Like the woman in the story, we may find ourselves in situations where our choices, values, or blessings are not celebrated or respected. The lesson here is to hold firm to our beliefs and cherish the blessings we have, regardless of others' opinions. In my own life, this reminds me to focus on the things that truly matter: faith, family, and inner peace, and to celebrate the milestones, big or small, with gratitude and pride. My advice is to embrace your journey, let love and resilience guide you, and remember that your worth isn't defined by others, but by how you honor the gifts you've been given. As Arohi grew, she became the center of our lives. Her laughter echoed through the house, filling the emptiness I had once felt. But even as her tiny hands clung to mine, my mother-in-law's demeanor remained cold. Sunita rarely acknowledged Arohi and seemed to deliberately avoid spending time with her. Her actions spoke louder than words. She viewed Arohi as a disappointment, a reminder of the grandson she had wanted. One summer evening, the tension finally reached a breaking point. Sunita had invited her friends over for tea. As they sat in the living room, she spoke loudly enough for me to hear from the kitchen. "Some people," she said, her voice dripping with disdain, "celebrate mediocrity. A boy would have brought pride to this family, but a girl, what can she offer? More expenses and less respect." My hands trembled as I gripped the countertop. Karen, who had come home early from work, overheard her words. He stormed into the room, his face red with anger. "Enough, Mom," he said firmly. "Arohi is my daughter. She's not a burden, and she'll never be one. If you can't respect her, then maybe you should rethink how you treat your family." The room fell silent, Sunita's friends staring wide-eyed. Sunita's face twisted with shock and fury, but she said nothing. That night, Karan and I had a long conversation. "I love my mother," he admitted, his voice heavy with emotion, "but I can't let her disrespect our daughter anymore. Arohi deserves to grow up in a home filled with love, not judgment." We decided to start looking for a place of our own, a small apartment where we could create a healthier environment for Arohi. As we prepared to move, a new challenge emerged. Karen's younger brother Rohan, returned from college with surprising news. He was engaged to a woman named Alina, someone Sunita did not approve of. Alina was outspoken, confident, and unapologetically modern. She dressed casually, spoke her mind, and had little patience for traditional expectations. Within days of her arrival at the family home, Sunita's disapproval was evident. Elena and I quickly bonded. She admired how I had stood my ground for Arohi, and I appreciated her courage in facing Sunita's criticism. But her presence seemed to amplify the tension in the household. One afternoon, during a family lunch, Sunita openly criticized Elena's choice of career. "A teacher?" she scoffed. "What kind of future is that? You should be focusing on building a family, not wasting time in a classroom." Alina, to her credit, responded calmly. "With all due respect, Mrs. Kapoor, teaching is a noble profession. I'm proud of what I do, and I'll continue to pursue my career, whether or not you approve." Sunita's face hardened, and the room became uncomfortably silent. The next day, Sunita confronted me in the kitchen. "You've been influencing Elena, haven't you?" she accused. "This rebellious attitude of hers, it's because of you." I was stunned. "Sunita, with all due respect, Elena is her own person. She makes her own choices, just like I do. And maybe it's time we all started respecting each other's decisions." Sunita's frustration escalated. She began undermining Elena at every opportunity, questioning her cooking, her clothing, and even her relationship with Rohan. At one point, she implied that Elena wasn't good enough for the Kapoor family, causing Rohan to finally speak up. "Mom," he said, his voice filled with exasperation, "you didn't approve of Arohi's birth, and now you don't approve of Elena. When will you stop controlling everyone's lives?" The situation came to a head during a family gathering. Sunita, in front of all the relatives, criticized both Elena and me for ruining the family's traditions. I couldn't stay silent any longer. "Sunita," I said, my voice trembling but firm, "traditions are meant to bring families together, not tear them apart. If you can't find it in your heart to accept us, then maybe the problem isn't with us, it's with how you see the world." Karan stood beside me, his arm protectively around my shoulders. Rohan and Elena joined us, creating a united front. For the first time, Sunita looked genuinely taken aback. The rest of the family, who had always remained silent, began nodding in agreement. The conversation that followed was uncomfortable, but necessary. Sunita, though reluctant, eventually agreed to reflect on her behavior. In the months that followed, Karan and I moved into our own apartment. Elena and Rohan continued planning their wedding, and Arohi started preschool. Sunita visited less frequently, but when she did, she was noticeably more subdued. Slowly, she began to show signs of softening, playing with Arohi for short moments and even complimenting Elena's cooking once. Life wasn't perfect, but it was better. Through the struggles, I learned the importance of setting boundaries and standing up for what's right. Arohi grew up in a home filled with love and resilience, and I felt stronger than ever, knowing that my family and I had faced every storm together.